Yes, you read that title correct. I took my client from 2,000 followers to 50K in just 2 weeks. And if you don't believe me, here's the proof. My client here was Niv Kochavi. You can look him up on IG right now. And within our first 2 weeks, these are the results. Pretty explosive. And just for some proof here, this is a video that we posted, actually the first video we ever made with him, and you can see my team posting this in our server on the 16th, one of my editors, and then he posts it on the 16th here. This video got about 250,000 views. It was our first ever video. And then further again over here, posted this in the server on the 20th of May, 23rd of May right here, posted it on his IG. And then same thing here with these bits over here, 19th of May and then 21st of May, right? This video got, I think, about 4 million views. So you can already see that this is real and this kind of growth is possible. And the crazy part about all of this is we did this without having to do tons of crazy edits. We did it without having to spend a single dollar on ads. And we also did this without any sponsors or any paid collabs. This was purely organic growth. And we generated 10 million views on this account, on Niv's account, on his Instagram, right? Within our first 2 weeks. That was roughly how many views we generated. And keep in mind, this was an account that was only getting a few thousand views per reel prior to working with us, right? Another thing to note was this wasn't like it was a secondary account. This was his main account. This is Niv's main account, right? That we grew. So he had no real presence in the online game. And after just 2 weeks, now all of a sudden, so many guys in the game are now following him. So he's gotten that mass exposure within such a short time frame. Okay. I mean, I even remember when we were talking in Mexico when I first met him, he was telling me that, oh, you know what, bro, it'd be really great to get a few videos on the page that start doing 10K a reel, maybe 20K a reel. Our first one goes in with a boom, we do 100K, and then we just snowball from there. And it's all due to having a shock factor, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. For now, let's go over the agenda for what we're going to do today. So firstly, we're going to cover why having a shock factor is the fastest way to grow a personal brand, the exact hooks that we used on Niv, how to structure a viral video sequence step by step, how to spot winners and double down for scale, and then finally, how to replicate this framework for any personal brand. So first of all, why having a shock factor is the fastest way to grow. Now, let's just think about this logically, right? Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, it is an extremely crowded and saturated market, especially if you're in the online money niche. How are we going to stand out doing this, okay? If you look at a competitor that you like and you just copy their reels clip for clip, text for text, you're not going to outcompete them. You're going to just be competing in a red ocean. If you guys are familiar with red ocean, blue ocean theory, I'll give a quick rundown now. If you copy what everyone else is doing, the only way that you will blow up doing that is you do what they're doing better. And arguably, you do it to the very best. So what does that look like in practice? This looks like, let's say you've got like a lifestyle clip, right? Maybe showing some clips in a nice car, on a private jet, maybe you're shopping, and it's just flexing, right? The only way that you post a clip that is just that and it goes viral is the actual footage and the B-roll itself, and the way it's orchestrated together is so much higher than the average baseline market. Then you will outcompete everyone, right? But that takes a very high level of skill, and it's not something that you can replicate. Like you watching right now, there's a low chance you'll be able to replicate that and do it to that standard. How do you compete then? You compete in a blue ocean, where now we take an external factor, we bring this in, and then it makes the video feel fresh. It makes it feel original and unique. And this is a strategy that I propose to my clients, right? So what was the case for Niv? When I first met Niv, right, I quickly realized that he had the ingredients to go viral. One thing that you have to know is that not every person has the same potential. This is just matter of fact. I often refuse clients because they just haven't got the sauce, bro. Like, I'm sorry, just some people haven't got it, right? What does this look like? Fundamentally, you need to have a level of interest and intrigue around you. Is there a narrative that we can build here? Because if there isn't, then it's going to be harder, right? And I only want to work with people who I know I can get good results for, you know? So the first thing with Nib was his income and his age. Those two together, not by themselves. It's when you bring those two together, you have something different. First of all, 16 years old, right? I mean, very young guy, okay? And then 350K a month, and he has the revenue screenshots to prove it, okay? So that's enough proof there, okay? So this combo, and if you combine that with a willingness to film, a willingness to try different ideas, then there's going to be real potential to go viral. The way I like to think about it is I'm the chef, right? Imagine I'm Gordon Ramsay, right? I can cook an amazing dish. I can cook some of the best dishes, right? But if I haven't got the core ingredients, how am I going to make a good dish? I can't. I physically cannot, right? If you give me all right ingredients, it'll probably still be a decent dish, but it won't be amazing. If you give me amazing ingredients, then we can really cook. And Niv had great ingredients to get going, is my point here, which I'm sure you guys now understand, okay? So he had the age, he had the income combined with the age, and then willingness to film. And at that point, he was willing to give me creative control and just start doing ideas, right? So his shock factor was his age, right? This is something that we can flash at the start of a video to just reel somebody in, okay? Reel somebody in because we're on IG Reels. Okay, sorry, that was really bad. Anyway, what were the exact hooks that we used to take Niv from 2K to 50K in just 2 weeks? As I said, age was a big thing for him. And what I thought, first of all, is how do we prove his age? People are going to doubt it. How do we give them irrefutable evidence that he is not lying? I said, Niv, get your passport out. We were in Mexico, right? Part of the reason this also worked so well was that I actually met him in person first, right? We spent some time in person. I got to know him. We signed the deal right there and then we got to filming straight away. We filmed some talking heads, right? If you go look at the first ever clip we made for him, which is right here. Let me just show you this, right? You can hear my voice in the background. Let me show you this.
6 years old.
How much you make?
I make $300,000 per month.
I don't believe me. That's screenshot, both of them.
Let's refresher. Social profit, $180,000. $6,000 a day profit.
Yeah. 2009. So you can hear my voice in the background, right? And I'm saying all these different phrases because each different phrase I can use later as a potential hook for a video. So one of the ones that stuck here was where I just said 2009, right? That really stuck. And then we used that again later and it worked really, really well. So we got the passport out, right? I mean, you can't fake this, right? Because this is legit, right? You can't fake a passport. This is, you know, this is his name. That's his date of birth. We got rid of his states, you know, don't want to dox him either, right? But this is all public anyway now on his IG, okay? And then on top of Niv showing his passport, it was also great where he went to Timepiece Trading, right? I forgot this guy's name, the Asian guy, I forgot his name. But anyway, quite well known, Miami watch dealer. And we got him to say, okay, Niv is 16, right? Now we're adding a third person to add to the evidence. So the shock factor, right? Think about it, right? The shock factor was his age. We can just get Niv to say, I'm 16. That's great, okay? But it's not really that good. Like, it's like the bare minimum. What's much better is somebody else proving the shock factor or another piece or a third party piece or external thing. In this example, is passport that serves as proof of the shock factor, right? Other shock factors can, you know, be just purely how much you make in a certain time frame, right? Let's say, like, I don't know, someone makes like 100K in a day, and you can prove it with the receipts, with the dashboard, with like just showing things that are just impossible to fake, right? Because at that point they want to know how you did it, right? Now they're invested because they're thinking, if this is actually real, how has he done it? Are they going to unveil how they did it? You know, what kind of lifestyle is this guy living? So things to remember, okay? Identify the shock factor. If you haven't got a shock factor, try to create one, okay? Think about your environment and think about what can play to you, okay? If you haven't got one, you're going to have to manufacture one. That's fine. That's not a big deal. I've manufactured my own, which for me is my documentary style. When I show people that style, they get shocked. I can use that in reels later if I want to do this style, right? I had to manufacture that because I had nothing inherently exceptional, right? So I had to create it myself. So you can create it, maybe harder, but it's definitely possible. All right. So moving on, how do we structure this viral video? As I just said, begin with shock factor, back up the shock factor with proof, and then by then the viewer wants to see the payoff, which is either how they do it or the lifestyle of the creator. Okay. Now this shock factor structure that I've given you guys, this is quite specific and niche for doing content of this style. There are lots of ways to go viral. You do not have to do this, okay? This way of going viral does come with drawbacks that I'm gonna talk about later, but in terms of sheer numbers, it is one of the best, especially in the online money game. It is one of the best, okay? Another thing to note is that we never really did like super intense editing because it doesn't matter. Like, it honestly does not matter that much. It matters a lot more on the ideation of the video and the content itself. If you have mediocre editing with great ideation and great content, you are going to go more viral. It is just a matter of fact. Like, slightly improved editing will maybe give you like 10 to 15% more gains, but improving the idea and the content will give you 50 to like 500% more gains. Like, it's dramatically better, right? So that's what we put most of our energy on. And even with my team and my editors, I get them to focus more on actually deciding what clip goes where, what is the copy, what is the text that we're putting, because this is the actual component of the video, not really like you know, focusing on any fancy edits or like motion blur or just, you know, like Twixtor or anything like that. If you guys know editing, you know what I'm talking about. So don't worry about that stuff too much. Here, again, additional proof, right? As I said, right, doing what? People want to know why. People want to know how, right? Obviously, people don't believe him. You're scamming, even with the proof. Except this is just standard, right? You can look at his other comments. You will see a lot of people asking, like, how? Right? If you look at his videos, a lot of people are asking this because that's the payoff, right? And sometimes we never even talk about it. A lot of time we never even talked about it. So they're just left with this curiosity gap. They're left with this curiosity gap. They go watch his other reels. They want to find out how, but we're not even showing how, right? So then they're just left in the dark. But it's addictive because they want to find out, right? If he's a scammer, they want to prove it. If he's not, they want to find out how is he making his money, right? Now, once you have a winning clip, right? Because you will get one doing this. It's just a matter of time. What do? We rinse it. We absolutely rinse the winner, okay? You post this shit as much as you want, bro. I'm talking like 5-10 times bare minimum, right? And then once you do that, you reformat it again, you re-edit it in a different style, you use it again. Never ever be afraid of using a clip too many times. If it works, it works. Like, this is the game, bro. If it works, just use it again, okay? A great example of this is Musa. I clicked the wrong button. Let me show you guys right here. So Musa is very good at this with his Sneeko Amigo clip, bro. He is like the CEO of this clip, bro. Like, seriously, he loves this clip, but it works. Like, you can't even hate, bro, because this is just a game, right? Here you go.
Smoke. Virgin, on the grind. I'm one of them ones. So I'm a video editor for like the Sidemen.
This is a clip 5 years ago. 2020.
What's your fucking business anymore? That's a video.
That's 2020, right? When he first recorded that. Using it in 2024. Just using it this year, 2025, right?
No drink, no smoke.
1.5 million likes.
Virgin, on the grind. I'm
Same clip, different editing style.
one of them ones. So
But the thing is that the content is the same. He just reformatted it. Editing is great for that. That's what editing is good for, okay? with editing, you can't, people don't understand. Like, if the content is bad, editing doesn't fix it. If you have a good piece of content, you can use editing to enhance and reformat it in multiple different ways and go viral multiple different times. Without the base clip here, this is not possible. And that's what I'm trying to say. His shock factor here is his age and then his lifestyle. 18, no drink, no smoke, on the grind, and sneakers impressed, right? That was the shock factor in this case.
I'm a proper hustler. I do like all the NFT stuff. I'm big on crypto. I'm a video editor for like the Sidemen.
Your Musa Fatsa video of me 5 years ago when Sneaker used to pay me 3,000.
All right, so you guys get the idea, right? Okay, and once you get a winner, right, you just keep twisting it, twist it, and keep altering it, and eventually you're going to be able to just keep recycling that style. Now, you may be thinking, well, I can't just like recycle the same thing forever. No, you're 100% right. You could not. You can't even do shock factor forever. 100% cannot do that. It's going to get washed up. Like, this game moves fast, right? That's why innovating and having a solid ideation program to come up with new styles is really important. And honestly, that deserves an entire video of itself. And I'm not going to go into it now because that's like a whole 20-30 minute guide. So if you guys want that, I'll make that. But yeah, this is mainly on shock factor and this specific style. So how do you replicate this framework? First of all, find your shock factor. If you haven't got one, you make one, okay? If you're unsure what that is, please take the transcript of this video, put it in GPT, tell it your situation, and you're going to come up with a shock factor that you can try, okay? Just do that. Like a little bit of proactiveness, you're going to get far with this video today, okay, right? Then focus on the content. The editing is not like that big of a deal, but just focus on the content, right? As I've said, okay? Shock factor hooks here are effective for driving general traffic and just getting tons and tons of views. But in terms of like converting it into sales or like a high ROI, monetarily wise, you're probably not going to get that. This is great for just getting tons of attention, tons and tons of views. If that's what you want, you're going to get that with this strategy. There are other short form strategies that you can use that may work better for what you're trying to do. So for example, Rob the Bank uses often like external things that he brings into videos. Like, look at this, watch this.
Scientists put rats in water to see how long they tread before drowning. On average, they last about 15 minutes. With the second group though, just before they gave up, the scientists pulled them out, dried them off, let them recover, and then dropped them back in. You'd think they'd last maybe 20-30 talks, but they swam for 60 hours. Not minutes, hours. Why? Because once they had experienced being saved once, they believed it could happen again. But that wasn't endurance, that was hope. And that's how most people live too. They don't drown from exhaustion, they drown from disbelief. They don't quit because they are weak, they quit because they stop believing that something's coming to pull them out. But here's the twist. You're not the rat anymore. You are the one who pulls you out now. So when life gets heavy,
This is in essence just a clip about not giving up and staying hard, right? He's brought an external thing. His delivery is great and it makes it feel so fresh, right? If you were to just make this clip and say like, oh, you know, what's it called? You know, when life hits you down, like just get back up, like just get on the grind, like you're gonna get 0 views, you're gonna get like 10 views, bro, right? It's the fact that he brought in an external thing, right? An external experiment. He made an analogy out of it that, you know, and he delivered it with actual conviction. The editing style with the clips on top and everything, it's important, but it's not that important. It's the content here that's made it viral. It's definitely the content, okay?
it feels like you're treading and nothing's changing.
Like, it's not like the fancy like edits and the fonts here. Like, that's not the reason it's gone viral, because plenty of people are trying to edit in this style and they get no views because they think it's about the editing. It's not. It's about what you're saying, right? It's about what you're saying. And what you're saying here is good. This is solid, right? It even made me think about what kind of experiments could I bring into Talking Heads for my clients, right? But yeah, this video was mainly on shock factor. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you are a business owner and you do want to blow up and you do want to go viral, short form, long form, book a call with me down below. I'll see what I can do for you. And gonna be dropping more value on this channel. But let's just get cooking, boys.